Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Abdullah, and in this video I'm gonna tell you about the Band 9 effective reading tips and tricks. But before we dive into the video, we need to know what the academic and general reading passages look like. So the academic module has 3 long passages which are usually scientific and have advanced vocabulary. But the general training module consists of 5 to 6 short passages that aren't too advanced and are easy to solve. Therefore, the general training reading is a bit easier than the academic one. But the marking criteria for general training is strict. For example, if you want to score a band 7 on the academic reading, you need to have 30 questions correct. But if you want to score a band 7 on the general training, you need to have 34 questions correct. Similarly, to get a band 8 on the reading academic, you need to have 35 questions correct. And to get a band 8 on the general training, you need to have 37 questions correct. Now let's start with the tip 1, which is structure your time accurately. You must expect to be short of time in the reading test because you're given an hour not only to read the passages but also to transfer your answers if you're attempting the paper-based test. But if you're attempting the computer-based test, then you don't need to transfer your answers. Simply you select the answers and they will automatically be counted. The IDP and the British Council usually suggest that you should divide the time equally for 3 passages, like 20 minutes for each passage. But I wouldn't recommend that because the reading passages get tougher with time. So you should allocate 17 minutes for the passage 1, 20 minutes for the passage 2, and 23 minutes for the third passage. This way it will be easier for you to attempt the reading and also copy your answers, especially during the third paragraph, which is quite tough. Also keep looking at the clock from time to time. Like whenever you finished a passage, look at the time, how much time is left, and increase your speed accordingly. But that doesn't mean you should be looking at the clock every now and then, because sometimes you might be reading the passage thoroughly and carefully. So when that time you look at the clock, your concentration will break and you have to read the passage again. So looking at the clock after every passage is completed is way better. Now time for the second tip, which is read the questions before the passage. Most students make a huge mistake. That is, as soon as they receive the reading test, they immediately start skimming the paragraph without reading the question. This way they will waste a lot of time because when they read the paragraph, they won't be reading 1 or 2 lines, they will be reading the whole paragraph. And by the time they move to the question, they will have forgotten what was written in the paragraph because they were skimming. They weren't reading everything very carefully. So they will forget what was in the passage and they again have to read the passage in order to answer the question. And this way they waste a lot of time. However, the student who reads the question first knows what is asked. And as the question is quite short, like you can take the summary completion ones, is simply a line, he will remember it, and when they move to the passage, within the first 3 or 4 lines, they will find the answer. So here the student didn't read the passage twice. In fact, he didn't even read the passage once and saved a lot of time. Tip number 3 is know which questions come in order. True, false not given, matching sentence completion, summary completion, sentence completion are the questions that always come in order. but matching headings, matching features, matching paragraphs, and sometimes diagram labeling are the questions that don't come in order. So how will the order help you? Let's say you were finding the answer to question 1 in the summary completion question. You couldn't find it and you moved on to the question 2. You found the answer to the question 2, and here you should get a confirmation that the answer to question 1 lies somewhere above in the paragraph before the answer to question 2. And why you couldn't get it is because you just missed it, like you were in a hurry, you skimmed it improperly, or you couldn't understand the vocabulary. But the answer is available there above the answer to the question 2. And if you read the above passage thoroughly and carefully, you will find the answer to the question 1. Another benefit of this approach is you don't need to search for the previous questions in the later paragraphs. For example, as you couldn't find the answer to question 1, you might be thinking that the answer to this question lies after the answer to question 2, in the 3rd or 4th paragraph, or probably in the last paragraph. That's not the case. Tip number 4 is leave true, false, not given and MCQs for the last. Why only leave these questions for the last? Why not other questions? Let's suppose that you ran out of time, and as you left these questions for the last, you have to make a guess. Now in true, false, not given, there are 3 options, and there's a 33% chance that you will get the option right. While in the MCQs there are 4 options and a 25% chance that you will get the answer right, even if it is just a guess. But if you consider any other question like sentence completion or summary completion, in summary completion there are hundreds of words in a single paragraph, and the chances of you getting the answer correct are very low, like less than 1%. And about sentence completion, there are 6 to 7 sentences that you need to match, so here the chances are quite low as well. Therefore, if you leave true, false, not given and MCQs for the last, only leave those for which you are unsure, like you couldn't solve them. Don't leave all the true, false, not given and MCQs for the last. And if you leave them for the last and run out of time, you can still get them correct. I mean, there is a chance. Tip number 5 is read instructions very carefully. Now, why this step is important? It's because as people receive the reading passages, they just start reading them at full speed without even looking at the instructions. And you can't imagine how many people make mistakes just by not following instructions. For example, there is a question called summary completion that usually says you should be using 1 word in your answer. But people here add an article that was mentioned in the paragraph with the answer. So it becomes 2 words, and that answer is considered incorrect because you used 2 words. Like there is an answer, fire is an answer to a question, and if you use a fire, it will be considered incorrect. You won't be receiving the mark for that question. So don't use articles, especially if it said that 1 word should be used. Just like this question comes the matching paragraph questions, which say that which paragraph contains the following information. Here sometimes an instruction is used that says you may use a letter more than once. Now remember, whenever this instruction is written, it means that the letter will definitely be used more than once. It's not may, even if in the question it is answered may, but I've attempted all the Cambridge books, and by this I have concluded that the letter will definitely be used more than once. For example, here is an official test from the IELTS Cambridge book, And as you can see here, the instruction is given that says you may use a letter more than once, and the answers are B, C, A, E and B. Look here, B is repeated, it's used twice. And I remember that when I took the IELTS test, I was also given a question that said which paragraph contains the following information, and the same instruction was given, you may use a letter more than once. And the answer to those questions were A, D, C and A. A was repeated just like the Cambridge test. So the official tests also follow exact those instructions. But keep it in mind, sometimes this instruction will not be given. You may use a letter more than once will not be written. And at that time, you should remember that a letter will not be repeated. It's confirmed. Whenever this instruction isn't mentioned, it means that each answer will contain a different letter. Just like in this official test from IELTS Cambridge books, the answers are G, D, C and F. Here all the answers are different, just as mentioned in the instructions. These are confirmed things, they aren't just like flukes or guesses. I've attempted every Cambridge book and from that it's concluded. So this is the end. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get notified of every video that I post on this channel. Take care. Allah Hafiz.